this. Okay, I'll make this available if you want to see it, but mostly for the people that aren't here, which looks like they're going to be a considerable number, but that's okay. It's we had the first nice cool day we've had here. It's nice and cool instead of nice and hot. But I mean, it's unbelievably hot. It's been unbelievably hot for November. All right, now I've got a little thing, a little cheat sheet I put together that I was telling Steve. If I had known how much work this was, I'd probably never agreed to have done it. But I spent more time than I planned on, but just trying to orchestrate this. And and I can only imagine how worse it would be if I was actually doing the lectures over again, which is another thing. I really hate listening to myself, but the best way to address these issues is to do that. And so I listened to myself go through some of this and actually caught one error that I have put up on the YouTube video site that let's see if I can, well, today we're going to try to summarize the reproductive parts of the morphology and anatomy video. And as it says in there, this video lecture transitions from vegetative morphology and anatomy of plant parts to reproductive parts. In other words, it deals with reproductive morphology and anatomy. That's why I started out with this luffa sponge, because the luffa sponge is nothing but a bunch of veins, vascular bundles, but it's a fruit. And so that's why it was a good transitional prop. Now, the error I found goes about that I found in the session from listening to it, painfully listening to myself. And then it makes me think, how did I remember all this stuff, you know, because I don't sure, sometimes it's only a year later. I must be getting senile already because I thought, gee, I don't remember all that stuff. But anyway, I guess it comes and goes. But about 35 minutes and 30 seconds into the video, when I was talking about the largest flower in the world, Rafflesia, I made a mistake that I didn't initially catch last year, and I said that the flowers of this plant are complete. Now, I'm talking about that fleshy colored looking thing that can be as much as 3 feet in diameter. You know, a root parasite from Borneo. It's basically leafless. The irony is a leafless plant is the largest flower in the world. Now, I said that the flowers are complete. That's incorrect. That's because the flowers are imperfect. They're imperfect. They have only one sex, which automatically makes the flowers incomplete. If a flower lacks one whorl of the 4, sepals, petals, stamens, or pistils, it is automatically incomplete. So lacking one sex would make it not only imperfect, but incomplete. Another way of saying it is that the flowers are unisexual, and that a few members in the family, Rafflesiaceae, are unisexual. Excuse me, a few members, at least one member has bisexual flowers, one genus. But the trouble is the family is known to have unisexual flowers, and they can be on the same plant, different branches, that's monoecious, or they can be totally different plants as dioecious. The terms monoecious, dioecious, and synoecious refer to the sexuality of the plant. The house, so to speak. Synoecious is a norm where you have perfect flowers on the same plant. Monoecious is like oaks that's in the slide set. And it's also, let me see if I can share a screen and bring up something else that I stumbled on today. It's one of the best examples I can, what is that? What the heck is this? Some kind of Zoom something. Let me see if I can get out of it. Great Scott, have I lost you? What's this open Zoom meeting? Are y'all still with me?
Still here.
Oh yeah, we're all here.
That's launch screen. What the heck is that?
What?
That probably came up when you logged into Zoom this morning.
Yeah, well, yeah, let me see if I can X out of that and not lose y'all. Gosh, I think I'm, all right. Uh-oh, probably gonna. Oh, boy. Okay, good. Somehow or another, this is what did I, oh, I wanted to really be right here. I found this, where is it now? Oh, I know why. I don't think I put it here. I put it here. You know what? It should be in the recent things. I found it really neat. Well, I guess not. Screenshot. Well, let's see if I'm gonna. I'm sorry. I thought I put it on my desktop, and the desktop's getting too busy. Let's see, Georgia Technical Society. Zoom. Okay, links, handouts. No, not here. Not there either. I'm gonna try one more time on my desktop and see if I can find, you know what? I'll go this way to do the desktop. I'm not much at navigating. Oh, no. All right, I think the keyword is hazel. There it is. All right, that. Can you see that? Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. I was looking, this unbelievable. I was looking for, oh, here comes somebody. Melanie. Okay. I actually, Steve, that's the first time that's happened. I saw an admit on screen share. But anyway, I just admitted somebody. But all right, I found this morning while I was looking for Richard Ware's site and Teresa Ware's site about their pictures. Because as Steve knows, I better learn the concept of cookies because I got rid of my cookies and got rid of more than I bargained for. And one of them was the link to that website. So I had a tough time finding it though, but I accidentally stumbled on this, and I stumbled on this while I was looking for, I put in the search for Google plant photography, plant photography, and I forget what else I put in it, but lo and behold, an article I wrote in the newsletter came up on plant photography from 2020 that I forgot I even did. So, but that was another surprise. And this was one of the other surprises I found. I've asked for permission to use this, but they haven't responded. I'm not making any money on this, so I don't think it really matters that much. But this is hazel, hazelnut. I don't know which species. I asked them which it is. It's a wintertime view or early spring, very early spring view of a member of the Betulaceae, the hazelnut. I don't, but what it is, what the point is, it illustrates a word I mentioned a minute ago, monoecious. That means one house, but that house has two bedrooms here. These are in one bedroom, and this little female is in another bedroom. Technically, the main branch is the same, but this is a short branch, this is another branch. So it's like oaks. Oaks are the classic example that I mentioned a minute ago and mentioned in the slide set that are monoecious. They have the tassels in one place and the female in another. And that's exactly what you got here. And it's interesting that the Fagaceae, the oak and beech family, is next door to this family, the Betulaceae, the birch family. So beeches and birches are related in different families. They both start with B. It always drove me nuts. But anyway, what you got here is a tassel technically it's called a catkin or an ament. And they're all male flowers. There's probably 200 male flowers in each tassel or catkin. with nothing but pollen in them. Whereas this is a single flower of hazelnut, and I suspect that color is due to the bracts because there shouldn't be any petals in this flower. I suspect those are just red bracts, because it shouldn't have petals at all. Anyway, that was I thought I'd share that with you. It was a very good example of a monoecious plant. So it's good or better than the oaks. Okay, now let's back out of that. If I can, back out of that. Let's see. I don't want to stop the screen. I guess I do want to stop the screen sharing for the time being. Anyway, all right, we've got 8 people besides myself, which is, we usually have about 10. But now, those that came in late, I have I explained about an error I gave about the largest flower in the world being unisexual. Well, I said it wasn't unisexual, but anyway, you can see that on the rebound. If I'll put this up afterwards. But so that was one of the topics I was going to talk about that's difficult, was the monoecious, dioecious, synoecious concept, which refers to sexuality of the plant. And that's exactly what that was. That was a monoecious situation. The norm is synoecious, when you have perfect flowers on the same plant. And I talk about in dioecious situation where you have 2 houses, and hollies are the classic examples in the temperate Florida anyway, where you have boy and girl plants, and people get unhappy that their holly doesn't have berries. That's because they got a pollen bearing plant. The truth is about hollies is that hollies tend to be polygamo-dioecious, which means that the plants are functionally dioecious, functionally boy and girl, but they'll occasionally have a few perfect flowers. So, and then sometimes the perfect flowers have totally vestigial organs of the other sex. The stamens will have vestigial pistils, and the pistils will have, pistillate flowers will have some rudimentary stamens without real pollen in them. But all right, now let's see. A sporophyll is a difficult concept too. The sporophyll, and let's see. I actually have. I'll go back to sharing the screen again, and for the best example. Now, how do I get out of that without losing this? Okay, good. Okay, this is a good example of a. All right, I know what that is. I doubt you that you do. A non-native plant that does exist in South Georgia. It's Fermiata simplex, a chocolate tree.
Wow.
And what I'm using it for is an example. I found that on the internet, and although I've got some, I think some maybe on Discover Life, but I'm trying to talk about the concept of sporophyll. A phyll is a leaf, sporo is a spore-bearing leaf, and that means a fertile leaf. Now, this plant kind of illustrates what you'd expect in a primitive angiosperm, that there's a leaf-like, a sporophyll is a modified leaf, and it's a synonym for a carpel, for megasporophyll is. Megasporophyll is a synonym for a carpel. A carpel is a part of a fruit. And so we've got a leaf that bears reproductive structures, which makes it fertile and not vegetative, not a regular ordinary leaf. So now it's easy to think of this as a sporophyll, but it's hard for me to think of a wedge of an orange as a modified leaf because it's so fleshy. But in fact, it is. Anyway, so each segment of a orange or lemon or tangerine is a carpel, all clustered into a compound megasporophyll.
Dr. Hadaway, I'm not seeing a screen sharing. Is that just me or other people?
I can see it.
I can see it.
Others can see it, and I'm not sure why you can't.
Oh,
I'll work on it then. Thank you.
All right, okay. Let me, I was afraid to stop it and start it again. Like maybe if I tried that, it would help. I'm gonna stop it and start it again. Whoops, I thought I was. Screen share. Now, you
Yeah, I
said,
got it. Got it now. Thank you.
I don't know if if I did something magical or what, but I hope I didn't lose the rest of you.
I did it.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. So anyway, so that looks like what you think of a fertile leaf, but most plants don't exhibit this kind of look. So now let's go to talking about this is the female, the megasporophyll, which is a synonym for carpel. Let's go to here and slide 146 and 7 in the main slide set. Okay. Getting there, around actually here. This is these are drawings of a primitive stamen situation in the angiosperms. Degneria is a primitive angiosperm with a laminar stamen. A stamen, this is a normal.
wait a minute.
Can't see it unless I do this. Let me do the annotate thing. Spotlight, I think it is. Yeah. Okay. That over here on the right looks like an ordinary stamen. Okay, but these on the far side look like something vastly different. But the truth is, these are laminar stamens that are modified. What we're dealing with is a stamen that actually looks like a modified leaf. And so if you look at this one, the blade parts of the leaf are gone, and you got the midrib is all you got. So, and then the next slide, I thought I'd switch to the next slide. I've got this problem. Let's see if I can make it. Okay. Now in water lily, here we have transition from, there's no well-defined, like magnolias, there's no well-defined distinction of petals and sepals, but we have a transition from tepals to petalloid looking one, sepal looking like ones, petal looking like ones, all the way over to a regular stamen. And there's a better look at the stamens. So the concept of, this makes a microsporophyll equal a stamen concept a little easier to comprehend, I think. In fact, I should be doing it like that. Okay. Now, this, what you see here is kind of like what we were dealing with the chocolate tree plant, where you have a sporophylls on something that looks like a leaf. And then in this marsh marigold, you got a sporophyll that looks like a leaf with fertile, it's a fertile one. So this is a primitive angiosperm in the buttercup family. And so anyway, all right. So what I'm trying to do is make the concept of sporophyll and easier to understand, and also trying to distinguish between carpel. Carpel and a megasporophyll are the same thing. Now, speaking of carpel, let's see if we can straighten out the difference, the concept between carpel and a pistil. And that is better done, I think, about slide 140, let's see, 151, which is getting close. All right, here we go. All right, can you see that, Charlie? Charlie?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, we're dealing with citrus here and trying to make the concept of, people have trouble understanding the pistil and carpel concept, and there's a good reason for that. Okay, here we have, well, you got 3 pistils, and here we've got something on the right here that's got 3 pistils, but they're united. So we have a 3-carpellate pistil or a compound pistil. Here we have 3 simple pistils. So all of them look like bowling pins to me, or pestils. So as I talk about the pedestal of a pharmacist, it grinds up stuff. But in this case, it's a compound carpel or compound pistil because there's 3 separate ones that are fused. Over here, they're not. Now, if you look at all right, here we go with 1 pistil with 2 partitions, 2 carpels, and then there's a partial separation and greater separation, and finally it's almost totally separated over here. But if you just look at this leftmost one at A, you don't know what's inside it. You don't know if that's a simple or a compound pistil. Now, oftentimes there'll be three stigmas up here or 3 partitions that you can see that'll help you decide. So what I'm trying to say is when you look at something from the outside, you don't know that this thing is simple or compound until you do a section of it to see that it's really 4 cavities or 4 parts. So this bowling pin is made up of 4 fused modified leaves. It's a hard thing to swallow though, because you just don't think of a wedge of a citrus fruit as a modified leaf, but in fact it has to be. Frankly, this looks a lot like the lophus sponge that I showed you too, on the opening of the slide, except you don't see all the veins. All right. Okay. All right, let's see, carpel, that was the other difficult concept, pistil carpel. Let's see. All right, fruit types was another one. Let's see if I can. Fruit types, that's actually right here, the very next slide. Probably the most difficult of the fruit types. Okay, we got all these types. It's the aggregate and the multiple concepts. An aggregate is a fruit developed from 1 flower with many separate carpels. In the case of strawberry, though, they're fused. You've got a raspberry and strawberry are similar. You have a bunch of drupe all into one receptacle. Okay. Now, the thing that looks like them sometimes is a multiple fruit. Now, this multiple, using pineapple as an example, is easy to get. In the case of a multiple fruit, the fruit comes from greater than 1 flower. So the fruit comes from the total fruit is a combination of several flowers. So each of these is separate flowers. Now the most difficult concept is people, you know what mulberry looks like, I hope. Mulberry looks like a blackberry or raspberry, but the individual segments of a mulberry come from separate flowers. Therefore, it's a multiple fruit developing from in many carpels, many flowers fused together like the pineapple. Breadfruit is related to mulberry, and so is jackfruit. And this Maclura palmifera, I can't think of the name. Monkey balls is a common name. Grapefruit-sized things that grow down here, and you can throw them around and really hurt somebody. They're heavy. They are multiple fruits, but the raspberry, blackberry, dewberry, those are aggregate fruits where you have lots of little separate ovaries in the same flower. This carpel is made up of maybe 40 of these red things, but just when they get mature. So that's a difference.
Are those monkey balls also known as Osage orange?
Yeah, that's the struggle. That's the common name I was struggling for. Yeah, Osage orange, which I don't like because it's not an orange. You know, that's another misleading. Common names can mislead you about taxonomy. But yes, Osage orange is one of the names. The Midwest, they plant them for windbreaks a lot. And the nearest ones I can think of here are on Harris Neck and some on Wormflow, planted on Wormflow, but they will escape.
Oh, they're common in the cedar glades of Tennessee.
Okay, okay. All right. I didn't realize that. That sounds like an invasive aspect, because I don't think they're naturally there.
Yeah, I think they're originally native to the Springfield, Missouri area and have been spread.
Well, I was gonna say Illinois, but I think it definitely is more on the Midwest side of things. But anyway, besides fruit types, the other thing that's confusing is inflorescence types. And I go into some details on these terms, either in the one we just had or in the one that I'm about to put up. I can't remember which. And that's another thing too. On the next lecture increment, be advised that even though it says an hour and 7 minutes, about 42 minutes into it, I'm kind of done, and I go into a review. It takes the remaining time up. So the session is shorter than it appears to be, but essentially the review that I go into about 42 minutes into it is a review of what I talk about in it and the other two plant anatomy morphology sections. So I try to go into a review session for that. And that brings me to another point. Let's see if I can find this. I think it's around slide 42. Well, I thought it was slide 42. No, it's not. Let's see if I can. Oh, it's slide 74. Slide 74, it just kind of get lost in the shuffle here. This slide actually should have been in your slide set, but see if I can all. But it was also a separate download on the link that I resent last week. It's the fourth slide down in fourth link in the set of slide handouts that are available. It's not so in other words, it's such a complicated, let me drink some water. It's such a busy slide, I figured it'd be better off to be a separate page. So it's the fourth link in the download that I resent you last week in case you lost the link. People have trouble with computers mostly they don't know how to do file management. So if you didn't save that link to a place you could find it, I had trouble with it. I purposely resent it last week, but this is it's in the slide set, but it's also a separate link. And that something I haven't talked about before, but it may be helpful as you try to get a handle on some of this stuff. And this, I actually do remember, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in the review session, the last part of the presentation that I'm about to send y'all the link to, which is really the fourth and last of I guess it's the last of plant anatomy morphology. Because right now, the plant anatomy morphology stuff we're talking about is primarily reproductive stuff. This is mostly vegetative. Anyway, all right, let's see. That pretty well does it. I was going to go out and give. There was one other thing that I sent y'all recently. I think it's being the recent slide sets. Quick access. Yeah, that is, I recently sent that. If I didn't, I made it available in the upcoming one, but this whole thing was about inflorescences, and I modified it just to try to get the distinction between pedicel and peduncle. And that's a difficult concept. I was going to go outside in my yard and grab a swamp bay that's growing in my upland yard. And to illustrate the point, but because on it is basically you have a branch that's the peduncle. And then it breaks up into individual pedicels. And so it's important to notice the difference in the pedicel and peduncle length on that when you compare it with redback. But bottom line is, for a single flower that's unbranched, the peduncle and the pedicel, you don't need to use the term pedicel. Like this, if that's all there is, you don't need to use the term pedicel. But this one has a peduncle and these are pedicels. The three, can everybody see me moving? The three pedicels and are on one
Yeah.
peduncle. Or in this case, you got one big peduncle with a lot of pedicels. Okay, so if there's no division of a solitary single flower inflorescence, there's no need to have the two terms. Okay. All right, that's another difficult concept to some people, or it was to me in the beginning. All right, I think I have addressed all of what I consider difficult. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm gonna stop the screen share. Anybody else have any thing they want to ask? Because this topic is difficult. Now, that matching exercise that we dealt with last time and answers to and all, I picked the hardest parts, I thought, still applies to the one I'm about to put up. Because I think bract is on it, the term bract, and that refers to a leaf-like structure associated with a flower. So the matching exercise still applies to the one I'm about to send you the link to, the lecture. Okay. No one have any thing they want to bring up or any question? I haven't checked this chat session to see if there's anything in there. And there's not, so. Okay.
Bob, I'll just share for a quick minute here. I haven't really done any vegetable gardening until this year. This is my first year of trying a little vegetable gardening because I love native plants and that's where my passion is. But I decided about midsummer, I ran across a video and decided to grow some loofah. And you sort of talked about loofah a little bit. And I knew I didn't have enough time left in the season, to actually get the sponges out of them. But I says, I've got a package of seeds. I'm just going to try a few here and see how far they get this season. And it turns out they're a little more cold hardy than most of the squash that you have and things like that. So they survived that first freeze. I don't know how they did last night, but another gardener in the little community garden where I got a plot this year says, hey, you can eat those loofah and they're really good when they're young and tender. And so I have cooked up and sauteed and eaten quite a few of those that got to be about 3/4 or an inch in diameter and 6 or 8 inches long. So, because I knew they weren't going to get big enough to mature and actually go to a sponge and doing that. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that in case none of you guys have tried growing loofah before.
That's good. That's cool, Charlie. Now I'm ashamed. I'm fancy you mentioned that. What you tell people what you are, and after they realize you're not mentioning, when you say botany, you're not talking about a lobotomy. Average person doesn't know what a botanist is anymore. They really don't. Like that slide that I do a Googlegram of botany and plant science, but they think you've got a green thumb.
Yeah.
Automatically. And I can grow stuff, but I'm ashamed to say I don't have a vegetable garden. Now, my parents did right out here in the backyard, and I did weeding and watering, the grunt stuff. But I probably could do one if I tried. I'm just too lazy. But I do. I've been so busy most of my time and on the road a lot that I've never done it. And that's part of my excuse. But what problem I've got now, and Donna kind of knows, is I've got, I had a cat and a dog that never were much trouble, but I've got 2 cats that John Harrison found in my backyard. Not only do they cost me a fortune, they are just wear you out in terms of the work that's involved in those 2 cats. I finally put 2 little bells on them to make so they could keep track of them, but my cat hates them. My other cat hates them. I mean, and then for a month now she's finally getting brave enough to fight back. And so it's bottom line is I don't see how. My neighbor's got 32 pets, dogs, cats, chickens, horses,
Wow.
goats, you name it, she's got it. I don't know how she does it, but because that's all I can do to do what I've got. But anyway, I got off on that subject, but gardening, I guess that's part of the reason I never got around to it. I'm so busy. I got a question here from, let's see, it says, can you confirm the rachis is a segment between pedicels, or is that the broader meaning? Okay, who asked that? Okay, Mark. All right, the term rachis has nothing to do with, let's see, the pedicels. The term rachis is used for the part of a compound leaf that's pinnately compound, like a hickory or an ash. It's the segment of what would have been the midrib. Let's see if I've got an illustration. So, you know what, the best thing is to go back to the screen share and let's see. That's not the screen there I wanted. What did I do? Screwed up. Oh, okay. That too needs, okay, stop. I don't want to stop. Okay, here we go. All right, go back to the vegetative part when I was talking about a leaf. That term rachis doesn't apply to reproductive structures. It applies to vegetative structures, namely the leaf. In fact, it might be the best way to find it is rachis. Oops, no, that didn't show. I'm shocked at that. Maybe because it's in a graphic. All right, let me see. All right. No, they're all this introductory stuff. Morphology, anatomy, plants. All right. I'm in the roots. I usually do the leaf before I do. Okay. Huh. I can't believe I don't have it. I guess I'm thinking about another slide set, but I'm looking for a good example of a. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right, here we go. It's not the best. Well, actually, the one above it. All right, this pecan. All right, there it is. The rachis. You don't use the term unless you have a pinnately compound leaf. It is the continuation. If this was connected, I need to get back to that annotate thing here. I lost that. Oh, I can't find it now. This is weird. Anyway, all right. If these leaflets were connected all the way around, Mark, we'd have a simple leaf. Okay, but they're not. And so if that was true, this would be the midrib. Just like on this right here. Down on the bottom right, you see that?
Yes.
Okay, that's the midrib. Well, in a compound leaf, the would-be midrib is naked. Therefore, and we call that the rachis. So that term only applies when you have, to my knowledge, when you have a pinnately compound leaf like you have here. That's the rachis. This is the petiole. Wait a minute. This is the petiole. Now, go ahead. Go ahead.
What about a buckeye?
All right. I'm glad you mentioned that. Buckeye. I was going to say it, but I thought I can't get this thing to switch. Oh, I know why, I think. Well, I don't have to back out of it to get it to do it.
Because I always thought it was palmately compound. So it's compound, but they all meet at one point.
I'm going to try to share a screen again. I got locked up. there is no rachis in a compound leaf, and I'm going to try to show you why.
Compound.
All right, now, well, okay, finally I got out of it. Now, I had a compound leaf right next to it. I thought, well, this is not a compound leaf like a buckeye, but it's the same concept. It's Tacoma. Oh, here we go. All right, this is, all right, there's no rachis here either in a three foliate like poison ivy. But and here we go. There's a rachis here. Oh, you can't. I'm gonna try. There we go. I finally got the annotate button back. All right, this is a rachis. That's a rachis. There is no rachis in this palmately compound leaf like buckeye because there's no continuation. It's like the fingers of your hand meet in the palm. And they're meet in one place. And the term rachis only applies when the leaflets meet in more than one place. So that's the rachis, that's the petiole, that's the petiole, that's the rachis, that's the rachis, that's the rachis, that's the rachis. There's no need to call this a rachis because they meet at one point. Okay, did I answer your question,
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I was thinking about somebody might ask that, but I'm glad. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that additional discussion. That is helpful.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you got to thinking about a rachis in terms of the fruit, but I've never heard it used in a fruit context. Really.
Well, it was on the very top of that inflorescence diagram you sent us. It showed the rachis on some of these racemes. And
I'm gonna go there now. There, this one. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Now, where did you? Okay, I was looking for the term rachis. Huh?
Yeah.
It's tiny print, but it's there.
Where
Yeah.
rachis is there somewhere? Oh, is that
On
it
the
right
far
here?
left, the far left
Rachis,
drawing.
it's there and there's two places. Okay, well, there's no reason it couldn't apply. I just never paid attention to that. Because frankly, I'm just trying to think about the validity of that. Yeah, I guess it would apply. Let's see what, you know what? Let's see what the dictionary of botany says about it. I mean, see if they even talk about fruit. I'm not saying this diagrams are wrong. I just never saw the need to refer to it that way. But very good that you picked up on that, because I must have used that a million times and never thought about it.
I had
Rachis.
to squint a little bit to read that.
Yeah, well, you know what I do when something like this is I just make it larger. But the term rachis, it's still there. It's here in both of them. But rachis, the axis of a compound leaf or fern frond upon which the leaflets are attached. Okay, and the second meaning is the major axis of an inflorescence, which is what you're talking about, which I never paid attention to. The major axis of an inflorescence, of which there are in other words, actually, you know what you've done is really, this is the peduncle, these are the pedicels, and the continuation of the would have been peduncle is the rachis. So, very good. I'm glad you brought that up. Let's see if let's see if the word rachis is in the Harris and Harris. It should be, but not necessarily. Dictionary of Botany is a little more inclusive. Definitions, I jokingly say, are like theories. They're true most of the time. The main axis of a structure, such as a compound leaf or an inflorescence, they do a good job of that, and they illustrate one of them. Anyway, well, that's another good one. I'm glad you brought that up. So, because I kind of learned something too. I just had never paid any attention. I guess because it wasn't useful in the identification process very much. But All right. All righty. So that does it, unless there's any questions. Soon as I hang up, I'm going to process this video and put it available, and probably later tonight or the morning, I'll put up the next one so there won't be any confusion about the two emails. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
You're
Goodbye.
Thanks, Robbie.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bob.